Listen, most leadership breakdowns don't happen in a strategy meeting or in a boardroom. They actually happen in the intimate moments of our own life. It's in our own soul that we see the failures and faults of leaders really begin to take root and cause detrimental effects. You can't lead people further than you've led your own heart. I believe this, that God is looking for consecrated men and women who live from and lead from an intimate relationship with Him. It's fundamental, it's foundational. And today I want to look at two different questions and three different practices that can help us as we seek to be godly leaders, making an impact in the lives of men and women all around us. Listen, I want to show you a few techniques that when our inner life and our outer leadership become misaligned, we can recognize it and then take some practical steps to correct it. So the first thing I want us to reflect on or think about is that a healthy inner life is going to be anchored in a Christ-centered identity. You and I cannot live or lead unless we have positioned ourselves at the feet of Jesus, understanding who the Father believes we are and what He thinks about us. It's from that place of inner security that we can actually begin to serve and lead others effectively. We've got to ask, why do skills and strategies fail when a leader's inner world is misaligned? I mean, what do you think? You've seen this in your own life. You've probably even witnessed this in the life of some of the leaders that you've watched or followed, or maybe even been hurt or wounded by. You've seen where those inner practices and internal thoughts have crept into their actual practice of life. They have unprocessed fatigue. They are just so worn out and tired that they're not leading from the best place that they possibly could. I know sometimes that's been my story, where I've just been so dog tired, I'm not leading in my home the way God has called or intended for me to lead. Maybe I've not been operating from that place of focus, but instead I come across as maybe sharp, impatient, harsh with people that I actually love and care about. It's that kind of unprocessed fatigue that can lead to a leader's strategies and skills being in a great position, but because their heart is wounded and heavy, they're not able to lead in a way that honors Christ and advances the call that He's placed upon their life. Another real practical thing is they'll begin to have hidden resentment in their own life. You see, you and I, as we operate and function, we have our own feelings hurt. I know that that's happened in my life, where something that has taken place has caused me to feel sorrow, shame, and that can lead to built up resentment. If I don't place those things in the hands of Jesus, it's going to be a festering spot where the enemy begins to take root and begins to tear down the walls of trust and relationship that are necessary for effective leading to take place. Again, I have to be leading from a place where my heart is bare before the Lord and it's sitting at His feet, and I'm not holding on to that resentment. I remember that I have sinned too, and my sins were forgiven. And so like the Lord taught us to pray, I forgive those who have sinned against me. It doesn't mean that I don't have conversations. In fact, I do, but we can't be leading from that place where we have these hidden resentments. Another thing, quite frankly, leaders, we can be unbelievably ego-driven. It's not a skills issue. It's not a strategy issue. We're just so full of ourselves that we begin to believe we have all the right answers. We know all the best ways. And our opinion isn't just an opinion. It's actually the law. It's a fact. Those kinds of leaders are constantly chasing the approval of others around them. They feel wounded maybe from issues with parents or other leaders in their own lives, or maybe they just have some personal insecurity, believing they must perform in order to be loved by God. But let me encourage you, God loves you dearly today, right now. He loved you so much, He sent His Son to die for you. So leader, hear me when I say this. You're not having to seek approval that's already been given. God loves you and He cares for you. He wants your ways to honor Him and to glorify Him. And we can do that when we humble ourselves before the Lord and come to Him with peace, with a heart of reconciliation. Remember, it's His kindness that leads us to repentance. So the life of a Christian leader can have all of the right skills and strategies, but if our heart is in a place where we are ego-driven, we're going to begin to see that comparison. We're going to begin to see that hoarding up of credit coming into our behaviors and attitudes. And that's going to be detrimental to our team. It's going to be detrimental to our families. And it's ultimately going to be detrimental to the call that God has placed on our life. So listen, when our inner being is misaligned, when our heart is not walking in an intimate relationship with Him, we're going to see those negative impacts and those ramifications carried out in our own life. The second thing I want us to ask ourselves is just simply this: what determines whether a leader inspires trust or anxiety? This question sits at the foundation because so many leaders who have a misaligned heart or aren't walking in that intimate relationship with God, they're going to have a team that's always asking the question, is it really safe to be honest? If your team's asking the question about if it's safe to be honest, they're actually asking, who are we sitting across the table from today? Is it the person who's wounded and broken, who's not walking in the abiding with the Lord that they need? Or is it this person who's representing Christ with integrity and wholeness? If we're going to see leadership collapse in front of us, it's because we have begun to break down those trust bonds that are fundamental for a life of effective leadership. Listen, leader, if you know anything, you need to know this. This is the most trust-broken culture, society, and moment in human history. 6 out of 10 people begin the relationship with you with a default of distrust. So you've got to begin to ask the questions, hey, when I'm present, do people feel peace or do people feel pressure? If they feel pressure, it might be because I have some misalignment in me that's causing them to feel unholy, unrighteous pressure. Listen, we just talked a little earlier about living at a sacred pace. You don't want to miss that. It's an important thing for you and I to think through. You can find that episode back in the archives. But you want your presence to be one that brings the spiritual presence of peace that comes with Christ. Remember, he's the Prince of Peace. If your leadership and life are operating in the way that's Christ-like in nature, it's going to have a peace that comes with it. It doesn't mean we're not trying to accomplish things. It doesn't mean that we don't have good and great expectations, but it does mean that people know we are for them and not against them. Another way that we can do a self-check is we can begin to ask, how are people responding? How am I responding? Is it with curiosity or is it with defensiveness? As I interact with people, if they have a curiosity, then they're asking a question, they're not questioning me. If I feel like people are constantly questioning me, it might be my own defensiveness rising up inside me rather than operating from that place of peace and confidence about who God has made me to be. Listen, I've got to be operating from that inner peace, that intimate relationship with God. That's the place that's going to allow for my leadership to function in a way that's impacting my team well and allowing us to really reach the goals and objectives that we have for success. You see, trust grows when leaders are grounded and clear, and anxiety grows when we are reactive or unpredictable or, quite frankly, more interested in protecting our image. We have to be clear about what it is that we're here to do. And people can see that. They can sniff that out. In fact, I believe that now is the clearest moment in history where people are able to read your true intents better than ever before. Even now, it's not just about what I say or how I say it. It's the heart behind it and the life lived in openness in front of people that's going to be the most important thing for me to build a trusting and a relationship with the people around me. If I want to have a successful life of leadership, that kind of openness can only take place when I feel secure in my relationship with God the Father. And so we've asked some of these questions and looked at some of these things. I want to give you 3 really practical practices that are going to help you as you seek to have a good inner life, intimate relationship and walk with the Lord that's going to help you lead effectively over the course of a lifetime and not just a single moment or a single project. Here's practice number 1. Name what is true privately and daily. You've got to be reading and declaring God's word over your own life and over your own mind and over your own soul every single day. If you're not doing that, you're going to begin to believe things that aren't true. Let me give you an example. There's no rest for the weary. Actually, I'm pretty sure Jesus said, "Come to me all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." You see, when you become weary and worn out, you begin to believe the lies that exist all around us. We live and swim in a world that is trying to preach to us a different gospel than the true gospel. You and I must be filling our minds and our hearts every day with the truth, daily, privately, in our hearts. What am I feeling right now? Really? I've got to be feeling the presence of God, asking those questions and really saying what's true. I don't want to be asking, just the same old tired, worn out, desperate questions of the Lord. I want to be sitting at his feet, feeling filled with him. And so I've got to set aside that time and make sure that I'm spending it with him. Second practice, we've got to bring before God those issues that really weigh heavy on our hearts. We can't just continue to bottle these things up and pretend that they're not an issue. We have to lay them down. We've got to be honest with God. Sometimes I think we get so practiced in our prayer life that we begin to ignore the realities of prayer. We get to come before the Almighty God of the universe, bringing Him our great concerns and our great rejoices. And in all these things, He invites us into His presence. Listen, if you want to have an intimate walk with the Lord, you've not only got to be naming what is true, you've got to be bringing your needs and your celebrations to Him in prayer. And I would advise, man, in that moment, practice the Lord's Prayer, literally live it out, and begin to watch as He shapes and forms not only your mind, but your heart to better align with His will so that you can be a part of seeing it done. Remember the beauty of your call as a Christian leader. God is using you as a means to accomplish His will and work here in the world. The God of the universe wants to accomplish something through you and in you at the same time. That's an incredible gift and a privilege. So you want to name what is true. You want to bring your issues before the Lord. Third thing here, it's really simple. You need to share appropriately in your relationships. You know, the beauty of the body of Christ and the beauty of the discipleship relationship that Jesus demonstrated for us is that it was never intended to be alone. It's not just about your personal walk in isolation of other people. Listen, Western Church, this is our biggest struggle. We forget that there's an important need and element to relationships in our Christian walk. It's not just about my intimate walk. It's about the men and women that God places around me to help support that walk and strengthen that walk. We need to be sharing relationally with other people the truth of the matter. How is my walk with the Lord? You know, one of my favorite mentor questions that I've ever been asked and that I ask of the people I mentor is simply this: what is your greatest sin struggle? It's a clear and direct question that people get a little anxious about because they realize that this relationship has a focus. And that focus is a life of holiness, a life of God glorifying work and labor. Listen, Christian leader, it's not in the midst of these other things that we're going to experience our greatest leadership failure. It's in the midst of our walk with the Lord. If we're lacking that, if we're missing that intimacy, we will see that collapse. Because ultimately, really, honesty begins to degrade with our team. That loss of trust begins to create divisiveness, and that divisiveness begins to create really a community and a work that fights against itself. Rather than building the wall together, imagine if Nehemiah had everybody just building the wall wherever they thought, laying bricks, some laying wood, nobody using mortar. It would have been a complete disaster. And that's what happens to our teams. If we don't help to build trust and build honesty, we're going to begin to see our teams completely degrade, and the influence will wane, and our ability to accomplish what God's put in front of us will dissipate or disappear. So listen, we have an important thing to remember. I'm going to read this for us. The healthiest leadership tool you have isn't a system. It's an intimate walk with the Lord. That's the healthiest tool you have in your arsenal. Practice the spiritual disciplines. Read the word. Pray, fast, be in Christian community. Recognize the value and importance of a local Christian church. You'll discover that God has given you the tools you need for a life of not only intimate fellowship with the creator of the universe, but also transformational impact across communities, nations, families, churches, businesses, organizations, and, the ends of the earth. That's the beauty of what God has called us to. So a couple of closing thoughts. What's going on inside of you? Where are you in the midst of that intimate walk? I want to invite you, man, this is a key moment. You probably got a lot of things going on. You're listening to a leadership podcast and actually being told that what matters most is your Christ-like character. And that can be challenging because you came here with one set of problems, but I want you to know the greatest problem you and I have is one of a life of holiness. We need to be abiding with Him. Remember, it's in abiding in Him that we will bear much fruit. That's what we're after. Eternal meaning, impact, and transformation. Listen, there are resources available. Go to the YouVersion Bible app. The International Leadership Institute, we've placed several incredible resources there to help you grow in your intimate walk with the Lord. But there's also other great organizations that you can go on there and find some tools that are going to help you in your daily walk with Him. Pray every day. Find somebody who will text a prayer to you and you can text a prayer back with. Hop on WhatsApp Find somebody that you can message in the midst of your moments so that you have that community. It's going to be essential. Listen, we cannot have more development in our strategy and less development in our spiritual walk. We have to be Christian leaders who recognize the value and the importance of an abiding relationship with Him. And I think from that, we'll begin to see transformation. If you want to learn more about the International Leadership Institute, the 8 core values of the most effective Christian leaders, you can find some great resources at iliteam.org. I also want to encourage you, man, subscribe, find some of the great resources on the History Makers Leadership Podcast. You're going to find some incredible conversations with leaders from around the world who are faithfully seeking to lead and live a life of Christ-honoring faithfulness. We want to see the world transformed, and I believe that you, a local leader, are the best way to do it. So I want to encourage you, grow in your leadership, grow in your walk with the Lord, and you'll discover not only purpose, meaning, and value, but you'll discover incredible life-transforming impact as God uses you to advance His name and glory around the world.